Hello guys, so here we have an '03 Chevy power seat, and as you can see I already pulled it off the car and got everything stripped out, but you guys don't really have to do this. What basically you have to take off is to take off the top cover and just take off the leather cover, and then you're gonna see a little cardboard box that kind of cover all of this mechanism. You just basically take it off, and then this is what you go to see. I also took off the top cushion foam just to make it a little easier to look into it. So for demonstration purpose, I already hooked up the battery into the main wiring harness, as you can see here. So by doing that, you can basically make the seat moving forward and backward. So it's just temporary power, right? And your lumbar support. Hit that. You only hear a little click. Audible click, and it would not do anything. Sometimes your other lumbar support may do that, but mainly this is basically what is broken. So this is what you're going to do. So we do see two motors over here, and they are mounted on this little bracket coming up from the center seat back. So you can see there's like a couple of screws up here. Unscrew them. This one gonna go to your main lumbar support, and this one is gonna go spread out to two sides of the seat, which whenever you press the button, it's gonna start hugging you from the back that way, and this one just push it forward or backward. So these are two screws that you need to remove. That's the bracket, and then there's two coming from the bottom. You may have a similar setup, or it could be interchange of these two motors location. Doesn't matter, you just took these screws off and it should come right off. So I forgot to mention that if this part of your lumbar support is broken, then you only need to take this motor off. And if this thing is still working, then you don't actually really need to take it off unless you want to. So I already got this off. It's gonna look like that, right? You can remove the wiring harness plugged into it. As for the size bracket, it's gonna be attached and it's all gonna be hooked into your seat somehow similar to this, and I just removed it. You could kind of grab a plier and kind of twist it around until it's come off this little hole right here, and you would do that for that side and also on the other side, which is that side. And yes, and that's how it's going to be. And for the center lumbar support, going to be that one attached down on the bottom, and then the spring. A lot of people has this problem where the spring, the curl part of the spring broke off, and so it does not work anymore. So you kind of want to bend that down by hands so it kind of release that spring, and then just remove the spring out to release the whole thing. So after removing that, this whole thing gonna come off, right? Okay, now you got your motor. So basically, what usually go wrong on this motor is the fact that the motor usually works for just fine. 90% of the time the motor works. This is what the problem. So there are plastic gears inside this plastic box. So the motor gonna turn those gears in order to make the wire, gonna dispense it out or retract the wire in to compress your lumbar support. And we can basically take a look at that by removing these top 2 screws. Gonna expose the gears inside. So those screws off. There we go. That is what we're looking at. That's the motor. Gonna turn the gearbox inside of this, which we can pretty much take it off at the same time. Dismantle that. There, you can see that. And what usually happens is over time, those gears gonna they might broke up and may get stuck in there, and they will not turn whatsoever, and there's not enough force to turn them. So usually what you will need is a new box, and unfortunately there's no serial number or part number on these. Whether you can order that online, I try and I don't really know what they are called. But what I did was I getting these from the junkyard. You can probably grab some of the working one, but yeah, usually you just check them by getting maybe something in there, try to turn those gears. And remember, they are really miserable, so they are made from plastic, so they may break up easily, so be careful with that. How do you know the motor is working or not? Basically, just take those plugs that you unplugged earlier, plug it back in, plug it back, then gonna hit your lumbar support. They both the same plugs for both motors, so there we go. Hit the button, it works just fine. So we've find out what's wrong with the lumbar support and why it keep going bad. It's because of those plastic boxes that would not hold the pressure in them. And yeah, that's basically what usually go wrong on these seats. So just make sure that is the case. And side note, it's maybe a little difficult to take these hooks off on the sides, but it could be a lot easier if you take off the back cushion foam. Therefore, you're gonna get a lot more access into this panel, but you can still wiggle with a little plier. Long nose plier would do it. This is the bracket for it. I'm gonna show you a good look of how it looks, how the frame look like. This is the other side. There you go. And by the way, there are also a couple of zip ties. That is zip tie for these wiring, black wires or cables. You can just cut them off and put new zip tie on later. You make it more neat and organized. That's basically it for the video. Thanks guys. Just a quick little reminder. So if you decide to go to a junkyard and get these parts off from those cars, but what you can do, instead of taking everything off, take the whole seat off from that junk car and start removing off the top cushion or the top cover, take off everything, you could just get a utility knife, make some cuts, and it's gonna start exposing all of these parts. I mean, those are junk anyway. nobody would care, right? That's one of the fastest where you could maybe get the spring that is still intact, that's not broken off. You can get this black piece right here, which you should try to make sure it's still spinning inside, and there's not like a lot of resistance, because this one doesn't turn whatsoever. So that will fix your lumbar support problem. And you can also take this, also usually go bad at the same time at that one. So just, you know, figure that out and see. Good luck. So for getting power into the power seats, this is the main wiring harness that connect to your car. So you basically looking for the orange wire and the black thick wire, usually right across to it. So it's gonna be these two prong bigger ones. Usually it could be the positive one, which is the orange, gonna be right in here, and then the black one could be diagonally located on this side, on the bottom. So just look for the color of these thick gauge wire and try to locate that. Then just clamp your mini clamp into them, and there you go. You should have power, to work these power seats and test them out. Also, this piece right here is removable, just in case if you accidentally break it off or snap it somehow like that, or you may have bent this too much and need a new bracket. What you can do is just puff off the top. Usually it's just pop right out, just like that. Try to push it. A little bit hard to do with one hand, but it's doable. So you got that loose. You're gonna lift it up and then go down at an angle like that. Hold on to that. It's going to come off. So it may be a little tricky, but a little wiggling would do. Just like that. It's coming at an angle. There you go. Then you can just pop it right back on. Yep, just like that. Go down at an angle. Pull it. Might be a little tricky. Go up again until it's go out. There you go. Just go along with the pattern.